Hi everyone, today I want to show you how to find and win painting government contracts. So whether you are an established painting kind of services business or you're trying to get yourself into painting contracting, or if you're into government contracting and you're trying to find a niche that you want to kind of specialize in, then in today's video I'm going to make the case for why you need to consider working with the government as a painting services business. A lot of painting contractors, they make steady income working with the US government. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to find those government contracts and how to win them. So let's get started. First, I'd like to sell you on why work with the government. One is the reliable payments. The US government is the largest client you could have, and they always pay and they always pay on time. And also they have steady workload. So if you work with an agency, they like your work, most likely they're going to have another job for you in the future. And once you have a reputation with one agency, it's easier to win other government contracts with another agency. So you're never run out of contracts if you kind of get yourself in the government, I would say, procurement pipeline. There's a lot of painting contracts, and if you're not capitalizing on those, you need to be. You can win these government contracts and expand your reputation, your growth. You're getting more contracts. You're getting kind of exposure to other government agencies. And also, once you have that stamp that you worked with the US government, you'll also be able to get a lot more of kind of businesses to work for. Just kind of the biggest review you could have on your CV as a business. So you're not only getting payments, you're not getting a lot of contracts, you're also getting kind of the credibility that you want as a business, especially if you're starting out. Now, most importantly, there's plenty of painting service contracts. So every facility, every building the government has, at some point, they're going to have kind of a painting job, and they have to contract it to a small business like yours. So there's ongoing painting for public buildings and offices. You have new constructions when they kind of lease new building or they build a new building, they have to have a painting job, as you know. And if you look around and actually think about it, there's a lot of government buildings all across your city or even your state. So once you think about it that way, you're going to understand why there are a lot of painting services contracts. And also, we're talking about historic restoration. So old buildings, they also need to be restored, and part of it is painting. So what I'm trying to say is there's plenty of painting service contracts, and there's not a shortage of them. So if you're not looking into these, you need to be looking at them because it's just more business for you. So what are the benefits of working with the government? So if you are a painting business, then as I mentioned, you can expand your client base, you can gain government credibility, and then you can get access to larger projects. Now, if you want to subcontract, then you're able to kind of build a reputation in the government sector, and you increase your subcontracting opportunities. So how do we start? So one key thing you need to understand is that there's something called NAICS code, which is the kind of the industry code for a specific industry. And the NAICS code for painting is 238320. This is going to make sense in a bit. I'm going to explain why we need this, because we're going to use this code to find government contracts specifically for painting. We're going to cut through the noise and go directly for any job that's related to painting. So now I showed you the benefits and the good aspect of government contracts. And now I'm going to show you the difficult part, which is finding these government contracts, because there are multiple kind of procurement websites. It's not just one. So the federal government has its own one. Then each state would have its own procurement website, same for the cities and counties and even universities and school districts. So if you had to actually look into each one of these procurement websites, it's going to be a challenge for you. I'm going to show you a solution on how to avoid this. But to start with, I'm going to today focus on the federal government and show you how you can find painting government contracts with the federal government, because they are the largest spender. But if you're serious about winning government contracts, then you have to have exposure to the federal and also to state, local, and education. I'm going to show you an easy way of doing that as well today in the video. Let's start with a live demo. I'm going to show you that for the federal government. We're going to get into SAM.gov. We're going to use the NAICS code. And then we're going to review contract listings and show you how to kind of review these bits. So first you want to go to SAM.gov, that's the website. Then you want to click on search. Once you're here, you want to click on contracting. That's a very important step. Once you click on contracting, you will see that the filters on the side have changed. So first thing we want to do is we want to go and click on product or service information. And then you want to put in the NAICS code that I told you about, which is 238320. And just like that, you can see that there are 50 government contracts for paint. And this way, You can review through these, but maybe we can filter a bit more. Now that we have chosen the NAICS code, we want to choose the notice type. So this is important because we don't want to see contracts that have been awarded in the past. So what I want you to choose is sources sought, pre-solicitation, combined synopsis, and solicitation. This way you avoid seeing award notices and justifications. We don't want to see those. These are contracts in the past. So now we're down to 39. What you can do even more is you can filter by the place of performance. So based on the state or even the country, because as you can see, some of these are actually for US embassies overseas. But you can filter by the state or the country if you work in a specific country. If you want to subcontract this, then you don't have to filter. But for businesses that are physically in a specific location, then you want to filter by the state. Now, what we want to do is actually review these results one by one and see which one is a good fit. So once you come here, you want to click on this, and then you want to review the dates. So a very important date that you need to look into is the due date. So that's the date you have to submit a solicitation by. That's not the date where you have to perform the job. No, that's when you have to submit a proposal to the solicitation. Now, here's the place of performance. So this is important for you as a business. You need to know where you have to perform the job. And then here's the description. And at the bottom, you see the attachments. Now, a lot of people see all of these PDFs and they get scared away. Don't be. I'm going to show you how to break these down with ease. That's kind of pretty much it. But if you want, you can just review these. Here you can see the kind of the magnitude and then of the construction. And then at the bottom, you can see the contact information. So this is the kind of contracting officer you have to send your bid to. And that's the kind of point of contact that if you had any questions or you have to schedule like a site visit, that's the kind of person you have to contact. I told you I will show you an easy way of doing this. So any serious government contractor does not rely on the government website because there's not enough contracts, and two, it's not intuitive and it's hard to navigate and hard to search. So what do? We actually use software like this one. This one is SamSearch, where we search for government contracts. So what I did here, I just put in painting. We could just say painting and coating. You could just specify the business description that you are looking for, and then it will be able to pull contracts for you, and you can review each one of these contracts with an AI-generated summary, so you don't have to click on it, read the long description. So for example, this one is the Department of State. They want painting services in Athens in Greece. So this is something that you would have to subcontract to a business in Greece. And this one, for example, is the Department of Defense. They have issued a pre-solicitation for multi-metal paint stripper. This is not really related. This one is the US Embassy in Jerusalem. They want residential interior painting. Then we have here painting services. As you can see, there's a lot of painting and maintenance services in multiple locations. And with the generated summary, you could just quickly see if it's a good fit or not for your business. Then let's say we want to look more into this. What we could do, we can scroll down, get all the details and description. But the nice thing about this is you can use the AI here to ask it questions about this specific opportunity instead of reading the documents and if you want to avoid all the jargon. So for example, I'm going to ask it like, what are the paint requirements? I want to know if they have like specifications or something like that. And now it's going to pull that information if it's available from the documents that are listed in the attachments here. So here we see that they actually have requirements that the paint must be suitable for interior use. And then we see here that it has to be 100% acrylic, I think, ecological, ammonia-free, lead-free. So here's the details and the specifications of the paint. The finishes, they have to be eggshell or stain. So we're getting all the details in one place. We could see here, we could ask more information like, what is the location details, for example? I want to know like, where is it? What's the building like? What am I supposed to paint? Things like that. So here we're getting that the work will be performed on real property owned by the U.S. government. The solicitation and contract document indicate the primary mailing and contact information. And here's the location. We have to have an established business, and then parking may be available at some residences. So this way I got all the details with ease without having to read long government contracting documents. Now also, do you remember how I mentioned that there are like hundreds and thousands of state-level government contracting websites? Well, with this, you could just, with a click like this, you could switch to state. And this way you're able to access painting government contracts across all states. So this one is past due. I think it's ended last month, but it's for the California Department of Parks, and they have a residential lead paint and painting services. This one is Alabama, and they're looking for bids for interior painting. This one is Alabama as well. This is LA. This is South Carolina, and so on. You could filter by your state or city, and you'll be able to see government contracts specifically in your state or city. So this way you'll get access to all these government contracts across all these different websites. And same way you could just break it down just like we did with the federal one. Now I want to show you also one more thing. To stay organized, what you could do is start a journey. So what this does, it will have all of the information in one place. So you can have the contact information, the description. You can generate deep insights here with AI. So this would tell you why your business should or shouldn't bid on this. Then you can here keep track of the status, if it's assessment, in progress, or submitted. And then here you can have tasks. So this way you could say like contact government agency to get more details, things like that. And then you could pick like a due date and set a status. And this way you can, to stay organized for this specific job, you could do the chat just like I showed you before. You have all the documents in one place. And most importantly, you can actually generate a proposal. So this would have access to your documents. So this is kind of your case studies, your past performances, businesses that you have worked on. You kind of populate this once you log in initially. And then you can choose like which documents you want to include in this specific proposal. So this is what we have to submit to the contracting agency to say, hey, like we want to be considered for this contract. And we got a comprehensive outline that includes all the details. And this way we can kind of come here, edit, choose what we want to talk about with each one of the sections. Once we are done and ready, we can click on generate proposal and it'll start generating a proposal. And let me show you, it'll look something like this. And you can use here a chat to kind of edit this with ease. So you don't have to kind of jump back and forth. You could just highlight something and then ask it, for example, to make it long, make it short, include sections about your past performances, things like that. Now, before I finish off, I would like to show you kind of strategies for winning specifically painting contracts. First thing is build relationships. You want to start with the process as early as possible. Don't wait until it becomes a solicitation. You want to start when they're asking for sources sought or when it's a pre-solicitation. Get in, give your feedback, kind of shape up the opportunity. So once it becomes a solicitation, your business kind of had built a relationship with the agency and you'll be kind of the favorite candidate for you to win the government contract. So start as early as possible and try and build relationship with the contracting officer or with the agency in general. Try and give their sources sought or pre-solicitation, ask for a meeting, ask your questions, and develop a relationship like that. Second is understand the requirements fully. You have to read all the requirements, and with the AI that I showed you, it should be pretty straightforward to get all the requirements in an easy manner. Because the difference with the government is that you have to follow requirements to the T. You can't miss any requirement, and this goes all in like from a specification about the paint, how to perform the job, all the way to like what format you should submit the bid in. So read the requirements, understand them fully. You have no excuse to miss any requirements, especially with AI. SamSearch, the one I showed you. Submit competitive bid. In most cases, you want to provide a really competitive when it comes to quality, so technical specification, but also most importantly, your price has to be competitive. Not too aggressive, but at the same time, obviously you have to make money, but also submit a bid that you know will be competitive. And honestly, it's a long-term investment because once you're in, it's easier to win other government contracts. Finally, once you actually win a government contract, deliver quality work, because the key thing is you want to be a repeat contractor and you want to win contracts with the agency again. And also the federal kind of government, they have their own rating system. So it's very important that you do really quality and good work. So key takeaways, government contracts are reliable revenue source for your painting service business. Use NAICS code or use AI search like SamSearch to find government contracts in painting with ease. Leverage SAM.gov, but as I've shown you, there's not a lot of opportunities, so you also want to be searching on the state, local, and education part, and a website like SamSearch makes it extremely easy to find those as well. Build strong proposals and deliver quality work. It always comes down to how good the quality of your work is. The better it is, the more likely they will book you again for a job in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to get SamSearch.co. It's the easiest way to do government contracting. If you even consider working with the government, you need to get this. I've shown you how it makes it easy to find these government contracts, break them down, write proposals for them, and stay organized while doing that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.